Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Russian President Vladimir Putin lands in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives the Russian leader at the Delhi airport outside protocol. Putin will take part in the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit on Friday. '22nd India-Russia intergovernmental defence talks held in Delhi. Belousov highlights deep Indo-Russian traditions. And French President Emmanuel Macron meets his Chinese counterpart in Beijing, urges Xi Jinping to help correct unsustainable global trade imbalances. Russian President Vladimir Putin has landed in Delhi, the national capital of India. Prime Minister Modi received President Putin, who's on a two-day state visit to India. President Putin will take part in the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit along with Prime Minister Modi on the 5th of December, which is Friday. India and Russia share a long-standing trusted partnership elevated to a special and privileged strategic partnership in 2010. This year's summit is to review the full range of bilateral cooperation. The two-day visit will include bilateral talks and a business forum focused on trade, energy, defense, space and agriculture. According to sources, here are some expected outcomes from President Putin's visit to India. The visit is expected to go a long way in strengthening economic cooperation. President Putin is traveling with a large group of business persons. India expects to improve the trade deficit with Russia. Multiple avenues are being worked out to increase Indian exports to Russia. Exports in the fields of pharmaceuticals, automobiles, agricultural products, including marine products, are being explored. Indian businesses and products will get a bigger market, and this will also boost job creation and the well-being of Indian farmers. Multiple agreements and MOUs are also expected in the fields of shipping, healthcare, fertilizers and connectivity. More cooperation is also to be seen in people-to-people relations, mobility partnerships, culture and scientific collaboration. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, along with his Russian counterpart Andrei Belousov, co-chaired the 22nd India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Military and Military Technical Cooperation in New Delhi on Thursday as well. The meeting in the capital, the Commission reviewed ongoing joint projects, explored new avenues for defence collaboration and discussed ways to enhance military interoperability.
एपेक्स लेवल पर हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी और रशिया के प्रेसिडेंट हिज एक्सेलेंसी मिस्टर व्लादिमीर पुतिन के बीच नियमित रूप से बातचीत होती रही है और हमारे दोनों लीडर्स ने जून 2025 में चीन में शंघाई कोऑपरेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन समिट के दौरान बहुत क्लोज इंटरेक्शन की थी। इकोनॉमिक साइड पर हम पिछले महीने मॉस्को में हुए इंडिया रशिया वर्किंग ग्रुप ऑन ट्रेड एंड इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन की 26th मीटिंग के सफल आयोजन का स्वागत करते हैं और हम रशिया लेड यूरेशियन इकोनॉमिक यूनियन के साथ फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट के लिए बातचीत शुरू होने का भी स्वागत करते हैं। 23rd इंडिया रशिया एनुअल लीडर्स समिति दोनों देशों के बीच स्पेशल और प्रिविलेज पार्टनरशिप को और मजबूत करेगी, ऐसा मेरा विश्वास है।
Our bilateral relations have a strategic character, and the partnership with India is a key factor for the balance in South Asian region and the global security in general. Russia cooperates in full scale with India in formation of the new outlook of the Army, Air Force and the Navy.
Earlier in the day, the two leaders laid wreaths at the National War Memorial in New Delhi, paying tribute to India's fallen soldiers. The ceremony underscored the shared respect and long-standing military ties between India and Russia ahead of their scheduled high-level defense discussions in the capital. The Russian defense minister was also accorded a ceremonial guard of honor by the Indian Armed Forces Tri-Services, marking a display of military tradition and strengthening bilateral defense ties. Also, Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal, along with Maxim Oreshkin, Deputy Chief of Staff of the Russian Presidential Executive Office, addressed the India-Russia Business Forum. Speaking at the event, the Indian minister said that the nation's economy is poised to grow to $30 to $35 trillion over the next 2 to 3 decades. He called it an ambitious target, but one the nation is confident of achieving.
Expect this in the next 2 or 3 decades to continue as we grow from a $4 trillion economy today to a $35 trillion economy over the next 22 years by 2047, when we celebrate 100 years of independence. Friends, despite all the global headwinds, India and our economy has demonstrated tremendous ability to withstand headwinds, shock, challenges. From a fragile 5 economy barely 11 years ago, we are today amongst the top 5 economies, soon to become the world's 3rd largest GDP.
Meanwhile, Maxim Oreshkin described India as the world's fastest growing economy. He expressed confidence that India-Russia bilateral trade will soon touch $70 billion, with both the nations aiming for a $100 billion trade target by 2030.
We see what significant results the Indian economy achieved over the recent years, becoming the most quickly growing economy of the world. The figures speak for themselves. Average annual growth of GDP over the recent 5 years is exceeding 8%. Understand that the current speed of development became possible through targeted policy of the government of India, headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India is a significant player in global trade and is part of the group of the largest international exporters of products and services. India achieved significant, meaningful results in industrial and technological spheres and is, for instance, the leading vaccine generics producer in the world.
Now, India has delivered over 63,000 doses of influenza and meningitis vaccines to Afghanistan, reaffirming its commitment to support Afghanistan's public health. India's support for Kabul reflects the continued cooperation between Afghanistan and India in the health sector, highlighting India's role as a key humanitarian partner. India has consistently provided humanitarian aid to Afghanistan, and this latest donation demonstrates India's commitment to improving public health in Afghanistan. Indian Army field engineers who arrived in Colombo on Wednesday along with the 50-ton Beri Bridge have commenced restoring a bridge affected by Cyclone Ditwa on the road connecting Chilau and Puttalam. The engineers' team from India arrived on Wednesday night in the C-17 Globemaster aircraft and completed their unloading on Thursday morning. After initial assessment of the situation, the team is expected to start working at the earliest. India's Parliament on Thursday passed the Central Excise Amendment Bill 2025, with the upper house, that is the Rajya Sabha, approving and returning it to the Lok Sabha. The legislation is aimed to amend the Central Excise Act of 1944, specifically to raise excise duties and cess on tobacco products such as cigarettes, cigars, hookah tobacco, chewing tobacco, zarda and scented tobacco. The amendment is required to give the government the fiscal space to increase the rate of central excise duty on tobacco and tobacco products so as to protect tax incidents after the cess ends. Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary moved the bill. Replying to the discussion in the Rajya Sabha, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that higher duties on cigarettes will be shared with the states. The minister said this is not a cess but excise duty. India's Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar formally assumed the chairship of the Council of International IDEA for 2026 during a ceremony held in Stockholm, Sweden. During his acceptance speech, the Chief Election Commissioner emphasized that India is both the mother of democracy and the world's largest democracy today.
भारत जनतंत्र की जननी भी है और आज विश्व का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र भी। विश्व के जाने माने 35 जनतांत्रिक देशों और 2 पर्यवेक्षक देशों की भागीदारी वाली इस प्रतिष्ठित संस्था इंटरनेशनल आइडिया के अध्यक्ष के रूप में आज भारत को देखकर भारत का हर नागरिक गौरवान्वित महसूस कर रहा है। भारत के मुख्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त के रूप में मैं ज्ञानेश कुमार भारत के सभी नागरिकों की तरफ से सभी देशों के प्रतिनिधियों का अभिनंदन करता हूं और इंटरनेशनल आइडिया के सदस्य देशों की परिषद की अध्यक्षता स्वीकार करता हूं।
All right, now the situation between US President Donald Trump and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is currently defined by an ultimatum, a breakdown of dialogue and a significant escalation of military pressure. Take a look.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Wednesday confirmed he held a respectful and cordial phone call with US President Donald Trump about 10 days ago, framing the conversation as a potential opening for diplomacy. According to reports, Maduro told Trump he was willing to leave Venezuela if he and his family received a full legal amnesty, including the removal of US sanctions and the end of a flagship case before the International Criminal Court. Maduro also said that steps were being taken towards a respectful dialogue between the two countries.
I received a phone call and spoke with President Donald Trump. I can say that the conversation was in a respectful tone, and I can even say it was cordial between the US President and the President of Venezuela. I add that if this call means there are steps towards a respectful dialogue between states, between countries, then welcome dialogue, welcome diplomacy, because we will always seek peace. Welcome diplomats, welcome peace. Peace yes, war never, never in the like.
A group of Democratic and Republican U.S. senators filed a resolution on Wednesday that would block U.S. military action against Venezuela without congressional approval after President Donald Trump said a land campaign would begin shortly. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Tuesday cited the fog of war in defending the follow-up strike, saying that there were explosions and fire and that he did not see survivors in the water when the second strike was ordered and launched. The U.S. military is ramping up its presence in Puerto Rico, deploying Osprey aircraft, naval ships, and additional personnel as Washington intensifies pressure on Venezuela. Despite the heightened tensions and the U.S. assertion about closing Venezuelan airspace, officials in Caracas confirmed that deportation flights carrying Venezuelan migrants from the U.S. were scheduled to resume. Venezuela's government granted permission for an immigration and customs enforcement flight to land. The Trump administration revoked the temporary protected status previously granted to over 600,000 Venezuelans by the Biden administration, making them vulnerable to deportation. Anamika Pandey's report for DD India.
French President Emmanuel Macron met Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing on Thursday, seeking stronger commercial ties as the European Union prepares to toughen up its trade rules. A large business delegation is accompanying Macron on his 4th state visit to the world's 2nd largest economy. Macron urged Xi to help correct unsustainable global trade imbalances. Macron also urged Chinese leader to boost cooperation on geopolitics, trade and the environment. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said on Thursday that any illegal move by the European Union to use its frozen assets will trigger the harshest response from Moscow. This comes after the European Commission proposed tapping frozen Russian funds to generate 90 billion euros for Ukraine.
Obviously, any illegal actions involving our state reserves and assets will not go unanswered. We have stated this repeatedly. Such a response will come not only from us, but of course from the international community as well. I repeat, no one in the European Union is even trying to hide the fact that there are no legal grounds for such actions.
Australia is all set to roll out one of the toughest social media age rules in the world from the 10th of this month. In a first-of-its-kind legislation, from the 10th of December, anyone under 16 in Australia will be blocked from creating or using accounts on major social media platforms. These include Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube and more. Tech giant Meta has begun removing minors below 16 years of age in Australia from its platforms such as Instagram, Threads and Facebook, ahead of the country's world-first youth social media ban. Bangladesh Nationalist Party chairperson and former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia is likely to be taken to London for advanced medical treatment. Khaleda Zia has been undergoing treatment at Evercare Hospital, Dhaka for the past 12 days after being admitted on the 23rd of November with breathing difficulties caused by a lung infection which later developed into pneumonia. She also suffers from multiple chronic conditions including kidney, liver, arthritis and diabetes-related complications, making her treatment highly complex. While there has been slight improvement in complications caused by the lung infection, heart-related problems continue to persist. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world as well. The European Union has launched an antitrust investigation into tech giant Meta over the rollout of AI features at social media platform WhatsApp. The European Commission said it's concerned that Meta's new policy could block third-party AI providers from offering their services through the messaging platform, potentially breaching the bloc's competition rules. North Korean capital Pyongyang witnessed its first snowfall of the season on Thursday, blanketing streets, trees and buildings in white as residents navigated wintry conditions. Traffic was seen slowing along major roads, including those near the landmark Ryungyong Hotel, while pedestrians navigated snow-covered pathways. Sotheby's has launched its first ever auction week in Abu Dhabi, unveiling a 4-day showcase featuring about $1 billion worth of luxury jewelry, watches, supercars, real estate and art. Star lots include a 4-piece Patek Philippe Star Caliber 2000 set, estimated at $10 million to $20 million, and a 31.68 carat fancy vivid orangey pink diamond known as the Desert Rose, valued at $5 to $7 million. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen and download the app. As simple as that. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live. Up next, Economic Brief with Makle.